Buenas noches. ¿Cómo está todos? It's welcome into the show of a Monday night. It's good to have you on. I have Pete, I've got Gav, I've got myself. We're going to have a chat. We're going to see where we go. And yeah, not much happening around football whatsoever at this moment in time. So there's not much to talk about. It's worse than when it's an international break. And I don't think there was anything anywhere near controversial that happened at the weekend whatsoever that we can talk about. There's not even football's not even exciting. Nothing's happened. There's no close, hard fought wins. Anything like that. It's a bizarre, just dull, uninformed, boring.
Brilliant weekend of football.
What?
It was brilliant.
What? Are you sure about that now?
Yeah. I am definitely sure. Brilliant.
Well, we'll come back to that later on. I also want to pick up on a couple of things later on that might be worth picking up on when we get there.
Have you got a strange sport for me this week?
I had one sent on to me. No, Paddy sent one on to me, and he was like, "You have to see this." And I don't know if I can talk about it or not because I don't know if the people were blind that were playing it or not.
Well then we'll leave it.
So I'm not sure, right? But but they had blindfolds on, so I don't know if it was just to make sure.
Well, then they're not blind.
No, but it might be to make sure there's no bangers.
Partially blind, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave that one.
It's not blind anymore, isn't it? It's
visually impaired.
Visually impaired. That's the one it's called now. Yeah. So So because I don't know. Do deaf people have a different? Is that hearing impaired or?
Don't know.
Think so. The politically correct method.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just interested because
I get lost. I get lost in the PC-ness of it all lately.
Yeah. You will. Like I don't know.
Anyway, the sport with possible blind people, and I don't think we can go into. I think that's where we are.
Possible blind.
Well, I'm saying possible blind because you don't know if they're blind or not.
No, I know.
Right?
If they
and
don't,
clearly the adjudicators don't really believe them if they're sticking blindfolds on them.
Well, they're probably just covering themselves. Do you know what I mean? Just to be on the safe side.
Maybe
a bit like Father Ted, fake hands.
Do you know what I watched the other day? Sorry, and I know we do this every week, right? Sorry. But I found this YouTube channel where it's this American couple, and they seem sound. But they literally do reaction to TV shows, and they're doing reaction to Father Ted, and it is fucking brilliant. Because you know they're watching it, and you know they're having a blatant clue what's going on, and then stuff happens, and they're pausing it and just in bits laughing. And the first one I seen was, do you remember they were accusing Ted of being racist? And your man out the side of the guy going, I heard you're a racist now, father. What got you into that at all? He goes, I'm not a racist. And then this Owen comes across the garage, go on, Ted, you tell them I'm fucking sick of them taking their jobs, the Greeks, right? And he's like, what? And your man shouts, no, it's not the Greeks he's against, it's the Chinese. Oh God, I just forgot how brilliant that program is. But the two Americans are watching it, and it's fantastic watching two Americans trying to decipher what the fuck is going on. Like Ted says to Dougal, Dougal, there's a hole in your jumper, and he looks down. There's a stitch going out of his jumper, a little tiny hole, up where, up the top here, and he goes, oh Jesus, Ted, I never noticed that. And he turned around, the whole back of his jumper's gone, the whole fucking back of it. It's fucking brilliant. But anyway, sorry, just convinced me. I had to say it.
That's absolutely fine, Gavin. This is what this show is about. It's not really about having an agenda or having anything really to discuss.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
We do bring topics, but when things pop into your head, you just have to kind of say them. Well,
you have to go with it, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, yeah, but like you do have to go with it.
Yeah.
Just to see what it rolls with, Right. Okay. So we have got a couple of things that we do want to talk about tonight, and there's a couple of things that we need to address in terms of what the lads want to talk about. Gav, is it my imagination, or is the chat quite light in terms of what's there?
Yeah, no, it was there, and then it seems to have stopped, unless people are just not arse talking to us.
That's fine if they aren't, but it just seems very strange that it's like normally the normal lads you'd normally see there aren't there. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe they're just slow coming in tonight.
That's all right.
I'll double check the YouTube feed while you're talking there. But
do a check of the YouTube to see if we're live on the YouTube.
No, we are live.
Are we? Yeah,
we are live. Yeah, there's more comments coming in there. Sometimes it happens where it just slows down, and then it just speeds up again. And sometimes it's YouTube, and sometimes it's just people not using their fingers to type. For.
But like, I'd hate to be missing any comments to talk to the people that they like to talk to us.
Have
That's
you
all
got
I'm
any
saying.
comments? Can you see any comments?
Have I any? I've loads of comments. That's the problem. I've got too many
Yeah, well,
comments.
they're coming in there because Rory Fitzgerald says, "Evening all, I only just joined." So there you go.
All right,
He's
all right, great stuff. That's
yeah.
great to see.
Yeah, they're all coming in there now. Look, they're starting to
all
talk
right,
now because
grand.
you're upset. Go on.
That's all right then. I'm just going to
Brecky's
there's a
in
lot
nice.
more.
Yeah.
It's great. I'll just keep an idea. Keep an eye on the YouTube chat instead of the one that's coming up here. So that's
Sorry, Gavin Walsh says, I can't commit to full-time racism as of the farm to look after
Farm took
father.
after.
It's the best line of the whole piece. Yeah, it's absolutely sensational. It's honestly, I just go and watch Father Ted again. I think that finished about 25 years ago. But
Yeah.
it's absolutely fucking unbelievable game.
Poor old Damon.
It's-
I mean,
it's-
he was 45 when he passed away. God love him.
Yeah, it's arguably the one of the best, if not the best, comedy show of all time. Like,
And listen,
particularly-
typical RTE fashion. You want to bring up a topic? RTE rejected Father Ted 3 times, and I never signed it. Channel 4
took it, yeah.
goes to show
Yeah.
you. Clueless.
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anyway,
and thank God. Right, so here we go. We are all here to have the chats about the football that went on at the weekend and things that we see that have cropped up. So, Pete, I think leading in, because it sort of leads into Gav's, which sort of leads into my multi-topics in terms of what's there. So, from Pete, from your perspective, your thing you wanted to talk about, and it's why is building a strong squad so hard in the age of 70 games per season? So, I'm interested in this because I already know the answer, so I'm just interested to hear where you want to take this. And
Yeah, because it's a genuine question. I mean,
feeding
I'm not here to grandstand about it. I'm not here to say this is what I think. I'm genuinely baffled how you can, switch on your TV or whatever, or see the prep for the game and still have. Listen, it's never personal when it comes to football, is it? But when you look at Queeveen Kelleher and you look at the Spanish lad that we've got, seems like a nice fella. His tweets are always nice and pleasant on Instagram, but neither of them are nowhere near the kind of quality that should be in and around the club when you're trying to pick up points at the highest level. I just don't get it, Phil. I mean, they're not the only ones. I don't like to single out people. At the end of the day, I'm sure they're all talented, but Simicast, for example, comes into the side. Just it's like defending is a new discipline for them. I just don't get it. It's what concerns me is the drop, between the 11 lads that we would kind of all rattle off, and then the rest. I don't see it at any other clubs. Any other club. Usually, it's a bit of a, even the ones that are struggling like Manchester United. You look at lads that he was trying to get rid of, the fella who hasn't got a clue, Ten Hag, and he's bringing them back in, and they're kind of keeping the season respectable. Whereas us, I just find you can just see that drop. I mean, the first 45 minutes against Fulham at the weekend it was the best and worst of Liverpool, but it's like we're being taught a lesson every week that we just don't learn from the next week or the next year when we're preparing a squad. And in the age of, which is the question I get, let me get back to the question. In the age of nearly 70 games a season, I don't understand why you can't sit down with a fella, 3 or 4 fellas, and say to them, listen, barring an injury to Mo Salah or an injury to Alisson or an injury to Andy Robertson, you're not going to really start in the Premier League, but you're going to play a heap of games in Europe because we're not in the Champions League, and you're going to play probably all the cup games, because I don't think anybody in that first team should really be looking at cup games. It looks like Mo Salah insists on playing every game because he's a winner and he wants to, be top of every chart. And I get that. But I just don't understand. And maybe, Phil, you give me the answer. I honestly don't understand how I can turn on a game of football. And, you're saying to yourself every week, we're going to smash this lot 4-0. We have to. And it's a struggle because there's 2 or 3 key fellas missing that wouldn't have made the mistakes that their so-called backups have made the other day. Please explain it to me. I'm every year I think next year we're going to just bring in some depth. It's not about money; it's about planning. And every year we just fail. It's abject. It's like carelessness. I don't get it.
I am stunned at this, to be honest with you, right? I'm honestly lost for words. If the driving force behind this is saying that our squad isn't strong enough for 70 games.
In key areas. No, it's not what I'm saying. I
In
didn't say.
in key
I'm
areas.
not saying. I'm saying when we drop, when
Let
we
me
lose.
let me
No, hang
let me
on.
start.
When we let me clarify, because you obviously can get it. When we lose
I
key
did.
players, Allison is a
I
key
did
player.
get it.
I mean,
I
are
did
you
get it.
telling me that you trust? You telling me with a straight face, did you trust anybody else in that squad to jump in instead of Allison or Andy Robertson?
Yeah.
Genuine.
Yeah.
Then you're
You
not
see,
watching the same. You're not watching the same
I
Liverpool
am,
as me.
and let me stop you there. Let me stop you there, right there, Mister Peter. Right, let me stop you there. On Kelleher, up until
He's
that
off.
game at the weekend. Now, up until that game at the weekend, every single fan, you included, would have been saying, "I don't really mind because we've got a brilliant backup in Kelleher, and we'll get through the next period."
I never
And he's
said that.
actually good enough.
I
He's
never
good
said
enough to play for maybe all bar 3 teams in the Premier League as it stands at the moment. And I'll stand by it. Just because he has one bad performance where he's coming into his first league match in almost 12 months in terms of what's there, like to be so reactive and so jumping us back in terms of what's there because of the mistakes he made at the weekend. I think that's crazy, man. If you wanted, if you're, I thought this debate was going to be based around when you look at the likes of all the teams bar Manchester City, and you look at the amount of games they have to play, how hard it is to actually compile a squad that will allow you to compete across 4 competitions over a season. I would have been well in with you, but Jesus wept. We're talking about Kelleher, who's probably arguably the best backup goalkeeper in the league. You're talking about Simicas, who is what you'd expect him to be, a backup left back who is serviceable in games where you need him to be serviceable in. Backing up a guy who's rarely injured, and it's very strange to have him to have what's gone on. We've with the exception of potentially sent right back, I would argue that our squad is in the best shape it's been since Klopp got here at all. Genuinely, the only weakness I can see is at right back and potentially the who steps in for in the Kanase Matip um, twin towers of injury proneness that sits there. Because for me, I've seen people commend Gomez again. I think Gomez is a liability of all the players in the squad. I think he's the biggest liability. I think he tries hard, and credit to him for trying hard. He's never put a foot wrong in terms of his effort and his application, but he's never been the same player since his knee got exploded when he was on England duty. So if you want to have a debate as to how difficult it is to actually put a squad together across a 70-game season, and how having a 70-game season in England is absolutely mind-bogglingly dumb from a league's perspective in this day and age, I'm all on for it. But if we're going to sit here and say it's madness that we don't have quality, you are tapped, fella, tapped. And I'll tell you, if you don't think you're tapped, right? Well, let me go through what the squad looked like just before Jurgen Klopp arrived, when it came to who's playing and what we had that was
Yeah,
there.
but Klopp is here 7 years later, 8 years later. I don't accept comparisons with whoever
You
came
have to.
before.
You have to.
well,
You have to.
let me
I
let
really
me run
don't.
a comparison by you then.
Mm.
Okay, so no squad, no squad is perfect, right? And no squad.
Not asking for perfect.
No,
I'm asking
no, I
for
know you're
perfect.
not. I know you're not.
Switch
I,
on
I,
and not make
I
errors.
never for a second said you suggested you wanted perfect. No squad is perfect, and no squad is without holes in it, right? And I'll go as far as to Man City on that, right? When you look at Liverpool's squad, right, you've picked 2 things there: the drop off in the keeper and the drop off in the left back. That's the 2 positions you've picked at. Phil has looked at right back, and I think that's very legitimate, because I don't think we have another right back in the squad, right? But what you're doing there is you're looking at possibly the best left back in world football in the last 6 years. An argument to have about it. And definitely the best goalkeeper in the world in the last 5 years. And then what you're looking to do is you're looking to have suitable backup to them. Now, if you want somebody of that standard to play in goal or play at left back to be of that standard, they aren't going to fucking play at Liverpool. For the simple reason is the goalkeeper is outrageous, the left back is close to outrageous, and players with any ambition whatsoever will not sit and go, I'm not playing, I'll play the odd League Cup and I'll play the odd FA Cup. And even if you look in Europe this season, P, he hasn't gone and taken Europa League and thrown kids at it. He's been extremely strong. And the reason he's been extremely strong is because he's made 9 changes between league games and that Europa League. But you don't look at it and go, Jesus, that's a weak team. So that's a sign of That's a sign of the strength of the squad, right? Now, you said even Manchester United are struggling. Their squad is awful. And that's on the pitch. On the pitch, 11 is fucking awful. And they spent more money than Liverpool have, right? If you look at Arsenal, Arsenal's biggest downfall last season was they didn't have a squad. Because they went 14 players, and then after that, they were struggling. If you look at Man City get 3 or 4 injuries, and you look at the bench they put out, and they're all these kids. And the reason for it is because no matter how much money you have, you cannot spend an infinite amount of money on a squad. And you listen, you can find a way to spend the transfer fees, but you can't pay the wages.
No,
you can't pay the wages. Hold on, I'm not finished. You cannot pay the wages. So what's happening is we can't turn around tomorrow and say, give Mo Salah. Like I've seen the argument, if Thiago leaves, let him go, give Mo Salah the majority of his wages and bring someone in midfield, right? To keep Mo Salah for years. That's an argument, right? But you can't continue to put Mo Salah's wages up and up and up, right? And at the back end of the squad, right, like Mo Salah's replacement or Mo Salah's stand-in, like Ben Doak, and going, listen, there's 150 grand a week, right? Or bringing a fella in on 150 grand a week to be the backup to the 350 grand a week player. You just can't. Finances don't allow it. Now, you can have a go at the players that are chosen to be backup, because let's be honest, there's players in that squad that know they're not first team players. They're not first 11. They're not going to be there in a cup final. They're not going to be there in the last day of the season if you need to win a title. They're just not, right? And you have to find the balance. You have to be able to find the balance of get the best I can to back up the elite that we have. And there's no doubt we've elite players. There's no doubt whatsoever. And I agree with Phil. I think when you look around it, the backup we have is really quite good, because let's be honest, you only put 11 of them on the pitch. Queevy and Kelleher, maybe you didn't say it, but Queevy and Kelleher, like literally before that game, right? If you go back 3 months and we're talking, I'll tell you what we do. We go back and we talk about Arsenal's number 1 and number 2, or to 2 number 1s, or whatever the fuck they are, at Arsenal. And everyone was going, we've Queevy and Kelleher. We've no worries, because he's literally served his apprenticeship under Alisson Becker. Hasn't moved on loan. Literally stood beside Alisson Becker for the last 5 years, right? So there was no issue there. He has a poor game at the weekend. It happens to them all. Alisson's done it. Alisson was literally trying to pass the ball to Man City players 6 days previous. So, or 7 days previous, or 8 days previous, wherever it was, right? It happens to them all. Tsimikas is a good left back that comes in and covers. You are not going to find an Andy Robertson level fullback to come in and sit there for 50 or 55 of those 70 games. It's just not going to happen. So I think, Pete, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I think there's a slight overreaction here from the weekend, because we're missing a couple of players. I mean, we won a game and we didn't play well. Plus, by the way, sorry, you tell me what players at the weekend that are first team that you would see as up there, and then there's a drop off on them. You tell me which ones played well at the weekend.
Listen, we were probably, particularly in the first 4, we were as good going for, we were as bad at the back as we were going for. It was just a bizarre game. I thought McAllister was excellent. I thought, I thought he's gone under the radar. A lot of people are looking for him to be something that he's not. I think he always puts that 7 out of 10.
What did the backup to him do? What did the backup 6 do when he came on, Pete?
Well, he was excellent. In fairness, Endo was
scored a goal.
Excellent. Yeah. He was excellent. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm not even looking at ours. I look at Tottenham having somebody like Fraser Forster as backup. Fraser Forster, I think, is an excellent goalkeeper.
Fraser Forster.
He's not even.
Fraser Forster is a backup goalkeeper in the Premier League, because
I'm going to stop you there.
He can't get a start anywhere.
I am going to
stop. I think he's better than Queevy Kelleher.
If you think Fraser Forster is better than Queevy Kelleher, you're insane. Yeah. He's a failed goalkeeper. He's a failed goalkeeper across the Premier League by the fact that he can't get a first team position anywhere in the league. I'm telling you now, P. Look at across the level. We have a guy who in Queevy Kelleher who is the equivalent of most of the best backup goalkeepers the teams that won leagues and challenged for Champions League had. Like, you name, so who are you going to get? The only option that you might put on the table that's better than what Kelleher will provide to you is if you can go and get a guy who's 38, 39, who's getting to the end of his career and wants to do a backup role and is happy to pass on his experience. But who's he
Well,
passing the experience to?
I'll
Because
be honest.
he's
I'll
not
be honest.
passing it on to Alisson.
You know what's a funny thing though, Phil? Like everybody hammers. Or I know you're not a big. Well, you used to be, Phil. But Gav, I know you're not into international football at all, and I don't blame you. It's rubbish, especially the way Ireland are playing now. But Gavin Bazanu is constantly picked ahead of Queevy and Kelleher, and nobody bats an eyelid. Bazanu's playing in the championship. Playing the championship.
Yeah, but
And
Gavin Bazunu,
I
look,
think
but you see, the
Liverpool
argument
said,
here
hang on
is
a second, I'm
Gavin.
not finished. Hang on,
Right,
I'm
go
not
on.
finished. I'm not finished. Gavin Bazanu last year conceded, I think, nearly a record amount of goals for a club that shouldn't have been in bad shape. But he's constantly, and like everybody calls Stephen Kenny out for everything when he was manager. Everybody. But it's the one thing I've never heard anybody say, why isn't he picking Queevy and Kelleher over Bazin? So this whole thing, listen, I understand the cup run. Queevy was very, very good, and he was great in the cup final. Stepped up, took the penalty, the best penalty, all that stuff. But I'm not buying him as a first-team goalkeeper at Liverpool.
You are mad. You're mad. And I'll tell you what, Bazanu gets the number one role on the basis that he's playing regular football. If Kelleher went to
In the
Brighton,
championship.
to West Ham, to
No, we played the
wherever
regular
it is,
football in the Premier League and got the
he'd be
spot.
playing regular
And then,
football.
funny
And
enough,
see how that worked out. See how that worked.
and
And
funny
I'm a
enough,
fan
when
of
it came to
I'm a
picking
fan of
those
Bazinu.
goalkeepers, those goalkeepers, actually Kelleher ends up with an injury and suffers because of it, because he doesn't get a chance to go in with Kenny. And in fairness, Bazunu hasn't done much wrong for Ireland since he's come in, so there's not much there for Kenny, an argument to drop him. But I'd be interested to see if Gavin Bazunu was dropped by Southampton. If he was dropped by Southampton tomorrow and Kelleher plays 6-10 games in a row for Liverpool and Liverpool win a load of games, it'd be interesting to see what the new manager will pick. But like Bossman Steele was in there, and I think he has to be winding me up, right? Because he says if they're not good enough to play for anyone that's not good enough should not be playing for Liverpool. The Greek fella and Kelleher are not good enough. End of. We should expect. I presume he means we should expect more. But what more do you want? Like if I turn around to you tomorrow and I say, right, I'll tell you what, Robertson is there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go and sign, I don't know, the fullback off Fulham. He's good. Robinson, he's good, right? Or we're gonna sign.
He's a flying machine.
Yeah, we're gonna sign, and he's actually not that good, but he looks good, right? Or we're gonna sign, pick your man off Wolves that we've been linked with, El Nouri, right? Yeah. Now we bring in El Nouri and we give him 100 grand a week, right? That goes up from the 60 grand or 70 grand we're giving Simicast. You're going to lose the 30 grand on the other end when you're going in to give your Salah, your Van Dijk, or whoever a contract. This for me has to be a balancing act in finances, and it's done throughout all clubs. Because if it wasn't done throughout all clubs, there would be so many of them going in and going, here, just sign all the fucking players, right? And we have all these brilliant and great players in two positions. And you've seen clubs like that where, they've 22 fucking amazing players. They've 20. But who are they? Who are the clubs that had 22 amazing players in the Premier League? We know who they are. And we know what's going on at them clubs. I'm not saying for a second that you couldn't improve or find yourself a better goalkeeper than Queevy and Kelleher. That's not the argument. The argument is, can you find me a better goalkeeper than Queevy and Kelleher that's willing to come in and sit on the bench for 55 to 60 of those 70 games? And that's not going to happen.
That's a good point, Gav. But I just think sometimes, and I love, I love the way the club is run. I do. I'm not complaining about the way the club is run. Sometimes, it looks to me like fellas are in there. The attitude is right. Obviously, Kelleher's attitude is right. He never opens his mouth. And you don't want what goes on at Chelsea, because that's a disaster as well. There's a lot of talk in the chat about what you want. You want to be at Chelsea? No. I mean, it's the thing I hate about 2023. You're either at one extreme or the other. I don't want either extreme. I don't want Chelsea. But equally, I don't want Liverpool to be, giving everybody 57 chances because he's a nice lad. Sometimes just want to see a little bit of ruthlessness and maybe a little bit, I don't know if it's lazy skill. I don't know what it is. I'm not there. I don't work there. But I just,
Pete, would you rather have? Hang on, because I want to get this.
I'm just of the view.
No, listen to me.
A little bit better.
Would you rather have Mignolet over Kelleher as the backup?
No, but he's not there anymore. I'm not comparing.
Hang on.
Joe Shelley.
It's a genuine question. Would you rather have Mignolet over Kelleher?
Do you know what? I'm not a fan of buying, and I said this at the time at Minion A. I'm not a fan of buying goalkeepers that have done brilliant stuff for relegated clubs because they've been busy. If you put a YouTube
Would
like
you sign
Pickford,
Gavin Bazunu over Kevin Kelleher?
100% I sign Gavin Bazuna.
Why?
Well, he's a fella that's being busy in a
Because
team.
no,
That's hold
but
on, hold on. You've just said you're not a fan of
And he got
signing players
relegated.
that have
He
been
got
a
a
goalkeeper
team.
for relegated teams because he's been busy. He was the most busy. He was fucking
yeah,
double busy, P.
well, I personally think that Baznu's better than
Well,
Keller.
you're
I think
wrong. You're wrong. They're both about level, right? Because what I think is mad is that when I look at Kelleher play, there's times when he looks absolutely top notch. And do you know what I say to myself? That fella needs to be playing 20, 30, 40 games a season if he wants to reach what his ceiling is in terms of his level of ability. And I've looked at Bazanu. I saw him playing for Southampton last year. I've seen him play for Ireland, and he looks like he's regressing as a footballer. He looks like he's gone from being potentially elite to what he is now, which is a bang average championship footballer. And he's not going to reach the elite stage at this point in time unless he gets back into the Premier League. And I don't see any queue. I don't see any teams queuing up to sign him to bring him into the Premier League. So from my point of view, you've got two goalkeepers who are fairly level. One that has still got a chance to reach a ceiling if he makes the right move away from Liverpool when the opportunity arises from. But at this moment in time, he's looking at it and he's saying, this is the best situation for me because if I get this run of 6-8 games for Liverpool come through relatively unscathed in terms of what's there. You can't do your transfer credentials and your ability to play anymore than represent. Look at what Fabianski has done since he left Arsenal. Look at what Roy Carroll did when he left United. Look at what all these fellas who are great backups, right? Who then went to other teams and made a really strong living as a Premier League level goalkeeper. And that's what Kelleher is looking at. And if he does that, he's going to be better than Bazanu because, like as I said to you, as from what I can see, he's regressing as a goalkeeper. He's becoming more error prone than he was when he came out first, and that happens
yeah,
when you play with bad
yeah,
teams. So that's
yeah.
just the way it is.
And I'll give you one.
I actually wanted to debate the point of how do you assemble a squad? How is it hard to assemble a squad and look at it with a broader brush than just the Liverpool lens? Because I look at what we've done as being phenomenal. I think we were forced into it because of what happened with the Saudi Arabian stuff in the summertime, but what they've done in such a short window has been immense. And they probably did a much bigger turnover in midfield. I think
Yeah.
we are so far outperforming what my bestest ambitions was for this season because we've put ourselves in a title race, which I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting the midfield to gel as quickly as it has. I wasn't expecting it, even in the bad performances, to show that mental fortitude, that mental strength to never say die. But your overall question when it comes to the likes of Tottenham, Arsenal, United, Chelsea spent close to 5 billion on players this summer.
There,
5
that's it.
billion.
I mean, that's a
On-
good. That's
on-
like
on-
a
on-
6-year-old.
5 billion.
That's like they're like
Like,
6-year-old.
I love the way you just went 5 billion as if like it was fucking,
Billion deep.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
but I'll give you
Man,
one
$1
thing,
million.
Phil.
It was
I'll give you one thing. When I heard that Brighton and Brentford were in for Kelleher, I remember thinking to myself, it'd be good for us because we're getting 25 million reportedly, but it'd be very good for him because I will give Kelleher one thing: he's very, very good with his feet and his passing. You can see that he's played in the middle of the park as a player. His passing is excellent, and he's a good striker
but
for
it's
ball.
but,
That would really suit him.
but
I
it's
thought
what
that
it's
was
what it's what he's being trained to do alongside like
yeah,
the whole idea, you see, if for, there's another reason for it, right? If we go out tomorrow and let's say Adrian isn't Adrian, right? Let's say Adrian say there's because Adrian should be anywhere near Liverpool's goalkeeping because he can't save the fucking ball and he can't kick it, right? So if we go out tomorrow and we say, right, Brighton and Brentford want Queevy Keller 25 million quid, right? And we say we're going to sell him, right? We're going to sell him because we're going to use that 25 to put it towards whatever, right? That's absolutely fine.
Vicario from Tottenham.
But now you have to bring in a goalkeeper, right? That's now you have to attract the goalkeeper that you're openly going to tell them they're going to be second choice, right? Okay, you're openly going to tell. Plus, I guarantee you're going to need someone that's fucking brilliant with their hands and brilliant with their feet. Because if a keeper comes in at Anfield, right, and 10 minutes into a game, lets one through his hands or hoofs one into the fucking stand when he's trying to pass it, there will be absolute fucking uproar, right? Because that's not how we play, right? It's a bit like, and to bring it forward a little bit, it's a bit like when Houllier turns up at Liverpool. Liverpool before that used to pass, and go back and watch them. 95, 96, 97,
Brilliant.
especially. They passed you to fucking death. Redknapp just passed them without going fucking anywhere. But it was always about pass and move. And Houllier came in and went, no, we're going to be big, strong, physical. We're going to take these fucking shots on the chin, and then we're going to hit people on the break with Heskey and Owen, wherever else, right? And Liverpool fans went, that's not how we fucking play. Now, he gets around it because he wins a treble in 2001, but it was not the way Liverpool play. Right, and I promise you, if Klopp came out tomorrow and said, right, we're going back to a completely possession-based, risk-averse fucking game of football, right, regardless of who you have, it's going to be, that's not how we play. And that's where it comes to the goalkeepers, Pete. I'm not telling you Caoimhín Kelleher is a Liverpool number one. If Alisson leaves tomorrow, I'm not telling you Caoimhín Kelleher is number one. But I am telling you, he's difficult to replace as a number two. A, on the profile he is. B, the wages he's on. C, his expectations, right? So couple all them together and try find me a goalkeeper that is better than Caoimhín Kelleher and is literally going to be happy to sit on X amount of money on the bench.
I agree with you, but it's not our job.
That's where you have to judge these drop-offs.
But it's not our job. I just don't think that job is being done properly at the club. I genuinely don't. And listen, I don't like.
Hang on. What? Are you
For example,
mad?
there are clubs out there. There are clubs out there who are fine. For example, do you know what I'd like to have, and maybe I'm a little bit spoiled. I'd like to have a setup the way, for example, Red Bull Leipzig. I remember years ago, some like Tottenham, even though they never won that, they would take a chance on a player from a small club that was doing okay. That big clubs were kind of going, no, he's not quite at that level.
What's
like
Endo?
Dimitar Berbatov and all
What's
these.
Endo?
Endo's 30 years of age. He's not a potential player.
What, you said it's from a small club. He costs us next to nothing. What's Matip?
Matip's a free transfer. Listen, I'm talking about fellas coming through.
Hey, you're talking shy. I'm going to be straight with you. You're talking absolute nonsense.
Bringing younger. So Endo's not young. The two signings you're talking about weren't young players when they're signed. I'm talking about taking chances on young players that are performing, I don't know, at the Salzburg level. Doing what we're good at. We're supposed to be good at. Doing what Salah was 25 when we signed. Can I finish, Phil? Can I finish? I'm talking about taking.
It's rubbish.
It's not rubbish. We're not doing it right. We're not bringing in. When's the last time you were genuinely excited?
You're talking absolute nonsense.
Listen. I'm not talking to you saying you're saying this. I'm saying, in my opinion, we're not bringing in young players who I'm kind of going, oh, we've really set the world. This fella's going to set the world up. Yeah, I'm looking at other clubs, not the elite clubs. I'm looking at even the Leipzigs taking a chance. The Dortmund's the best model. Bringing in these young lads that you just know these lads are going to set the world on fire. We're not doing that now, and it's annoying me a little bit because we're not at the model where we're spending, which is we're all happy with. But then we should be competing with the Dortmunds and the Leipzigs.
So Pete, just on the Dortmund and the Leipzigs, right? And I get where you're coming from. They do. They look at these players from the likes. Well, Leipzig look at Salzburg and so do Dortmund, right? They look to there and they go, and they literally have a conveyor belt between and a triangle between those three clubs nearly, right? But the problem here is that we aren't Leipzig and we aren't Dortmund, right? Dortmund aren't expected to win a league title in Germany, right? And neither are Leipzig, right?
Dortmund are.
And when you put them into Europe, they're appalling, right? And the thing is, the expectation has to be there and the demand has to be there for what Liverpool have to do. We didn't reach those demands last year because we came fifth in the league and we didn't get into the European Cup, right? And the demands now this year is that we definitely get back in top four, which could be 5 because we don't know, or we win a league title. Now, I'm all for bringing a fella in. You go, do you know what? He's really like the likes of, remember Timo Werner, right? And people are like, bum, bum, bum. Now, that didn't work for him, right? It's probably a bad thing, right? But if we bring players in like that and they don't work, Pete, right? They don't work. The ramifications of it from Liverpool point of view and a Dortmund point of view are night and day. Because it might be the difference between Dortmund finishing second and fourth, but Liverpool is going to be finished second and fucking seventh because of the strength of the Premier League.
About Jude Bellingham, Gaff. I'm sure somebody at our club said that, and they're probably saying about Joey Bellingham. It'll be the same reason why Joby Bellingham won't be signed.
But Pete,
Like,
Pete can just on that, right? You're talking about these. The club does do it. We signed Harvey Elliott. We signed Fabio Carvalho. We signed Calvin Ramsey.
Cody
We
Gakpo,
signed
arguably.
We signed Gakpo. We signed Mo Salah when nobody wanted to touch him.
be
When he
nice to
wasn't even
sign
on anyone's
somebody.
list.
So I would agree with you on Harvey Elliott,
We
but
signed
Harvey Elliott
Sadio.
should be
Hang
playing
on.
more. Let's
We
go
signed
through them
Sadio.
all. Should be
Hang on.
playing more.
But Pete, we signed Sadio Mane
Who always managed
from
24?
Southampton. We signed Roberto Firmino from Hoffenheim. So
Firmino
the
was
club,
25.
the club,
Firmino was
the
25
club,
mistake.
but the club is a big. Like, I'm sorry, this what you're talking about was something that you did before we got to where we were that we are with Klopp, right? They can't. The Gav's point is right. We're now at a stage in our evolution that we can't afford to get the transfers wrong because we know that it takes near perfection to beat the sports washing projects that are embedded in the English league. You cannot. I wanted to come to your point about building squads because Manchester City is the totem pole that you're trying to go up against, and they've 20 odd players they've spent on average. I think it's 40 to 50 million on each of the
But they
players that are
don't
in
even
that
have
squad.
that anymore. Because
All I'm
they're
saying, Gav, is
front
that
loading the squad with the money they can use to spend on it. Do you know what I mean? They're front loading it with the wages they have to pay to De Bruyne and a Haaland and
sorry,
and when you look at it,
But
when
my
City get
point-
3 or 4 injuries, look at their bench.
Yeah, but my point on this to you, Pete, is that when you look where you've had to evolve to get to win a league title, your squad building isn't about putting 22, 23 players in your squad. Klopp's belief and his openly stated belief is he wants 16 players in his squad, and then the rest are made up of players that they're bringing through from the youth setup. Look at our squad. Look at what it is. He's happy to rely on Bajcetic last year. He's looking at the kids coming
Kwanzaa.
through. Your man, yeah, Kwanzaa, the young fullback. What's his name? Connor is a
Conor Bradley.
Bradley as well. That's sitting in there. He's prepared. Simicas is what's going on. When I look at this, he's got Doak on the bench and he's not afraid to put him on the pitch. Like he's
Doak.
using Elliot. Think about Curtis Jones. They brought Curtis Jones as well when it comes into it. So when I keep going to it and saying, right, to your point, to build a squad, they've said, right, we need X amount of players plus players we develop, because in the worst case with the players to develop, we'll sell them on, like we did with Solanke, like we did with other players, Origi and stuff like that, when their time at the club came to an end and we still made 15, 20 million out of it. This is as squad building goes, the fact that we're into a second phase of Klopp land, right, in terms of a team, this is the best we've ever seen it since the 80s. Don't kid yourself. There's no point getting upset about a result that went on at the weekend. That was, we won. The elation I had when we won 4-3, that to me is the most.
So annoying that first half. So annoying.
But it's annoying. But this is the type of upset that United fans had for the best part of 20 years, and we looked on going, how can they be annoyed about anything? Right? How can they be annoyed about this? I'm looking at it going, dear God, we've got this mentality back that I thought was going to take 4 to 5 years to get back into the squad if possible, and it's there. And these are made with a massive amount of players that weren't even part of the first run. Like we've got Matip and we've got Van Dijk and we've got Alisson, right, and we've got Salah. After that, you look across the board, and that team is infused with new players who suddenly have the mentality that you need to succeed. And to me, to your broader point about building a squad over 70 games, the impact of mentality, I think, is completely underrated in terms of what that has.
Yeah,
that
I have to admit, I mean, Szoboszlai, I've never seen a young fella as single-minded. He's like a 28-year-old. It's actually bizarre.
But I think
bizarre.
when you're looking into all this, like, you could definitely sit down over a point and have an argument over, do you like this player, do you like that
Just
player?
it.
Right? No, but I'm not saying, well, minus the points, but you could definitely say, do I like this fella, do you like that? And you get people that love a player, and some players, nah, I'm not mad on him. But when you look at the profile of the player we have, like, I don't think there's definitely players that are there where you're thinking, he's back up, he might get the odd game here. But actually, when you look at it, there's an awful lot of players in that squad that consider themselves should be in the starting 11. Like, if you go through that front five, right? Salah, Jota, Diaz, Nunes, Gakpo all expect to start every week. If you ask them, they all expect. If you go into midfield, right, Endo, maybe not, right? But I'd say Harvey Elliott thinks he should start every week, right?
Should, yeah.
Jones, definitely, right? Thiago's what's the point in talking about him at the minute because he's not there, right? But Bajcetic, maybe not, but he's being nursed back very slowly to where they want him to be. But then when you look at McAllister, Jones, Elliott, Gravenberch, I'm missing one or two here. They all want to play. They all feel they can play every week, right? Centre back, bar Kwanzaa, I think the other 14 they should all play every week. Trent on his own at right back, and I think that's a valid argument. And at left back, I think Tsimikas knows he's back up, right? So the actual outlook of these players, there's very few there where you go, he's probably sitting there going, look, I'm just one of the lads and I fucking play the odd game. I think they all believe that they should be starting for Liverpool. And that's a good thing for Liverpool. And it's actually a really good on the manager and the coaching staff where they have players, possibly 22 plus players, where they all, a big amount of them, 17, 18, think they should actually play every week. And there's only 11 and whatever it is, 8 subs or 9 subs. And there's some of them being left out. But there's no disharmony. You know what I mean? You can argue over the quality, but I think the outlook and the profile, like if you go through Spurs, if you go through even Arsenal, I'd argue even Arsenal. I'd say Arsenal, a lot of players there look them 14 are nailed on. Like if he had to every week play 11 and use 3 subs, they're the 14 he's using. You know what I mean? Manchester United, I think it's a bad way to look at things because they're just appalling for me. Their attitude. The players
I get
that. And that's
two lads that he wanted to get rid of, the McTominay and Maguire, are the ones that are. I know they're the shit show, but they're the ones that are kind of, I don't know, keeping them afloat. Especially McTominay. Jesus Christ, why would anybody want to get rid of him?
Yeah, you know? I'm not saying I'm not arguing the point that you can't build a stronger squad, right? I'm sure we'd love to. You probably like a midfielder or a forward out there that's better than fellas that start with us. That's just life. Do you know what I mean? That's just how football is. But what I'm saying, 2 things on it. One, to find players that are better after that drop off, as you put it, that are willing to sit on the bench, is hard, right?
Yeah,
Okay?
and I get that.
And even if you want to bring in a brilliant goalkeeper and a brilliant left back, right? You're gonna spend an awful lot of fucking money on it, and you can't just run and go spend it all over there. And by the way, we're gonna go over here and give all these lads that are great new contracts and all. You just can't do it. It's just not possible unless you're fucking cooking the book somewhere. That's just my opinion on it.
That's how it's been done.
Do you know what? It was a good. I like that topic.
Good stuff. Well, Gav, taking on from that topic, I think it's worth having your bit because we never got to the point I want to talk about, which was equating squad depth and strength across the league to lead into, is it a tight league or is our minds playing tricks on us, given we're at match day 14? So it's like, if you look at the table at the moment, you've got Arsenal ourselves, City, Villa, Tottenham, Newcastle, Manchester United, something like that.
It's fairly close to that. Yeah.
In terms of
look, I think we've seen brilliant title races between Liverpool and City, 2 in particular, that both went down to the last day, right? We've seen one where Liverpool have, and this going back to the last 5 years, we've seen one where Liverpool just took off and no one was stopping them. And we seen one last year where I was rooting for Arsenal. I was absolutely rooting for them. But they got about 30-ish games in and you could see that lack of squad depth and a bit of know-how, I suppose, kind of done them, right? And you can argue if Arsenal done enough. You can argue if, like, Liverpool have made changes. Are Liverpool at their best, but they're still second place? City usually does a procession from Christmas onwards where they just, batten down the hatches and go and go and go. And it kind of got me thinking, and it was kind of more probably a question to you, to one of the people in the chat. It was more like, is this a really tight league and title race, or is that just in our heads until the actual true thing comes to fruition, where everyone's just sitting there mid-January and all the pundits never going, City, you'll just win this now. The sort of way. I'm of the opinion it is a tight league. I am of the opinion I think it's going to be a very tight title race for a number of reasons, right? I think it would have been easy for Arsenal to kind of drop off this season, right? Because I think they've made good signings, but I don't think those good signings have been on top of cementing a squad. I think they look about the same to me, right? Maybe a bit more quality, and they can depend on a few players more. I think Trossard's been a great signing for them, but I think the year they had last year will stand to them. I think Liverpool have muscle memory in this, a lot of them, as to when we get in this position, this is what we do, and this is how we kind of, circle the wagons and we go for it. And then I look at City, and I think City can absolutely turn around and win 10, 12, 15 on the bounce. That's what City do. But the signs for me with City is that sometimes they feel like it's too easy. And yesterday should have been easy against that Spurs team, and it wasn't. And they kind of switch off and look a bit. Are they mentally fatigued? Do they feel like they've done it all now, winning that treble last year? And I think all those elements right now, and could be proven massively wrong if City turn it on or Arsenal drop off like last season, or will Liverpool just find that they've hit a bit of a ceiling with this team and they need an extra 6 months to a year before they can break through that again. But right now, I think it's a really, really tight title race. And I'm probably asking the question because people, when I say it to people, like I joke, this is a procession to the title for Liverpool now after that win yesterday. And people kind of go, no, can't see it, And don't get me wrong, I speak to Shawnee about it, and Shawnee goes, Gav, I think it's top four. I'm not writing us off, but I think more realistic is top four. I'm fine with that opinion. But I do get people going, are you mad? Liverpool, are you joking me? They're fucking this, they're fucking that. And I'm kind of going, yeah, but off the body of evidence so far, what we're seeing, it's not like Liverpool are a flash in the pan and City have just dropped to their knees. I think City have come back a little bit and Liverpool have risen a little bit, and that's all it really takes. So that's where I am on the title race. Is it tight? Is it a real title race? Will it continue to be a real title race? Or are we going to be sitting here in 2 months' time going, them pricks are fucking 12 points clear? The sort of way. So I don't know. What do you think? And I'll have a look at the chat.
Peter, what do you think on this one?
I think,
And don't have me tell you you're talking shit again, because that's not, you can only get that once in a night.
Well, Gavin Walsh feels when City get Kevin De Bruyne back, they'll take off and nobody will come near them. That's his.
if they have to do more than that. They have to learn how to defend. Manchester City have forgotten how to defend. I think poor our friend in the middle of the park, who they think is their best player, probably has been our best player. He's completely overloaded. Listen, Erling Haaland is a fantastic finisher, but I said when they signed him that you lose something going the other way when you sign somebody like that that's out now. And don't get me wrong, he drops off now, and he links it up very, very well. He's the thing he was moaning at the end was he was 10 yards in his own. He's getting fouled 10 yards in his own half, magnificently holding it up to spin and put Grealish in. So fair enough. But I still think with him being so out now, they kind of lose a little bit. They miss as well the little German fella that's gone off to Barcelona. He's not nicking things in the last minute. I mean, Manchester City last couple of seasons would be 1-1, 2-1 or 0-0 with somebody, and he would pop up and do something magical. So they're missing an awful lot, and they can't defend this year. Listen. Again, it's if we can cut out the silly errors, and I mean we drew with Luton. We do again the usual with Liverpool. It's the games against the fodder. I'm nervous going into the Sheffield United game on Wednesday, and we should put 7 past them. We literally should. But you're shrugging your shoulders. You'd rather play Chelsea, than play them. I think we should expect more than top 4. We're in an unexpected title race, but yeah, we are in it. We just need to get our act together. I mean, midfield has been a big surprise for me. Goals are coming from midfield. Salah's doing what Salah always does, and Luis Diaz, considering what he's gone through, has been absolutely brilliant. If we can just get the tall fella with the long hair up front to hit the target a little bit more, and so we can we need him to help us to put the rubbish out. To be honest with you, missing chances against the fodder is a problem. City can't defend. We need to take advantage.
Phil, can I ask you something before you jump in and give your bit?
Yeah.
Like, we know where Liverpool are, right? We know what they've done with midfield. We know up front. You know, Diaz hasn't had the best of starts of the season, but I'm okay with that. Not that I'm okay with it, but I kind of look and I go, listen, he had a very fucking bad injury last season. He came back at the back end of last season. He comes into this season. He's okay. The whole thing with his dad goes on, you know. But he scored a couple of big goals. So the one away at Luton is one. And you know, he's kind of been in and out of the side. But when you look at like Arsenal and you look at City, do you see enough holes in them for Liverpool to be in an absolute title race, or do you think there's holes in Liverpool as well, and we probably have more than them?
This is going to your broad. Like, I wanted to address your broader point. Is it mad tight, or like, for me, it's way too early. We're not even halfway through the season, and the biggest impact on a season in England is Christmas. This run of games, and it's not the games against United, Arsenal, and Newcastle that matter. It's the games against Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, West Ham that count. Do you know what I mean? Like the games against teams that are going to be in contention for top 4, top 5, generally even themselves out over the course of the season. But it's those games in between where you need to maximise your point haul. So you have to beat the Crystal Palace, you have to beat West Ham, you have to beat Sheffield. You can't afford to drop those points, because they're the points that keep you ticking over. So if you drop 2 points in a draw with Arsenal, for argument's sake, a bad result in Anfield, we drop 2 points against Arsenal, right? Or you get beaten. The impact is lessened, but it's either lessened or it's exacerbated if you then go and drop points against the team that you should be beating. And I think our fatal flaw as it stands at the moment, Gav, is our away form against teams that are outside the top half of the table. Right? I think that is the fatal flaw that still exists in this team. There's still it doesn't have the controlled ruthlessness that the league winning team had, right? It doesn't have that controlled ruthlessness that existed even the season before we won the league. It has that mad frenetic energy we had the season before the season we came runners up the City. Does that make sense? So it's like they'll either tonk you or they'll tonk themselves. And it's one or the other. And you can have both in the same match, which is what we've seen with Newcastle, with the Newcastle game, what we've just seen with the Fulham game. Like, they should have been out of sight, out of mind. And then they committed self-harm in terms of conceding the goals and then going 3-2 behind. And then they had to do something superhuman to pull themselves out. But they're capable of doing it. So, I don't know. You'd need to come back and ask me in this January as to whether I think there's a real title race. And I said to you even last season, I didn't think there was a real title race last season. I said this from the outset, right? The teams that have a title race, it doesn't start until March, because it's only when the real pressure comes on where you can't afford to drop a single point. At this moment in time, you have a draw or a loss, you can make up the difference. You still have games against the teams that are in front of you to reclaim those points. When you get to March and you're past your halfway point in the season, there's only a third of the season left, and you have to win every single game, as we know, from there to the end of the season and not drop any points. That's the race. And whatever's left at that point is the important bit, because you're likely got your European games as well that you're trying to fit in between. Then the midweekers come in, and then you're catching up with what's going on. And that's where the true test of the squad depth and the mentality kicks in. And I think Arsenal will have learned a lot last year, but I don't know if they're equipped when it gets to that level of mental pressure to stay in the race, because they failed. They should not have lost the league last year.
I actually think one of the biggest factors in this league this year, right, will fall on Liverpool's 2 games against Arsenal. And I think if Arsenal come to Anfield on whatever day, 23rd, I think it is, of December, and get beaten, it's just Arsenal get beaten at Anfield, right? Even were they beaten at Anfield last year? I think they might have been. You know, and then we go to them in January or early February, I think.
Twice.
Yeah, well, the FA Cup, you know, forget that for a minute. But I think those 2 games are massive, because if Liverpool go and win those 2 games, right, or come out with a positive amount of points against Arsenal, I think everyone looks and goes, fuck, these are in it. But if Arsenal come out with a positive amount of points, i.e. 4 points from those 2 games, a point at Anfield and 3 at the Emirates, people will go, literally breaking, I think, what's their biggest to-do at the moment, and it's playing Liverpool, especially at Anfield. And I think those 2-2 at Anfield last year, right, Emma? I think, I just feel like those 2 games are huge. I think it'll show if Liverpool are really in this, or it'll show if Arsenal have taken that step since last year and have mentally been able to step up. Because when they turn up at Anfield, they were 2-0 up at Anfield last year. They're reminding me now in the chat, and we drew 2-2 with them. When they turn up at Anfield, they're usually all over the place. So I think those 2 games, especially one being late December, I think the other one's late January. There's not too much between the 2 games. I think it'll go a long way to show them if this actual title race is real. Because if they go and draw with each other twice, City could pull away. If one of them gets 4 or 6 points, they're banging it. They're absolutely banging it. And I'm not, like, I keep going back to it. We could be sitting here in 6-8 weeks' time, and that'll be another 10 Premier League games. We'll be 25 in, and you'll be going, there's 13 left here, and City are 9 clear. Forget it. But I don't think it will be. I think the away form against those teams in the bottom half isn't good enough. And I think it's mainly down to Liverpool feeling like they can show up and win games. Whereas they need to go out and prove they can win games. Yeah, and it's not like we don't have loads of the ball. It's not like we don't have loads of chances. We just need to switch off and go into this, I keep saying it, dropping into this gear that we can never get back out of in these games. And I think, and this is why I said yesterday was huge. Yesterday's win was brilliant to get the 3 points and then City draw. But it's also a way of showing, listen, that's a team in 13, 14 position at home. Yeah. And this is what happened to you. Now, it will be more difficult away. And the reason Fulham are in that game yesterday is because Liverpool don't feel like playing. Liverpool feel like, oh, we're 1-0 up, we win this game. Liverpool need to get that out of them. And the way to get it out of them is if they're looking at that at 7 o'clock last night going, they fucking dropped more points. They've dropped more points. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I think yesterday is huge. Not only in winning the game, but maybe focusing the players to say, listen, you need to go out and you need to put 15 to 20% more into this for a longer period of time against certain teams. And you can get your 3-0 after an hour, and we can change it around and you can do whatever you like. But that's what's killing Liverpool at the minute. They're not getting the 3-0s.
Finishing's a problem, Gav. Finishing's a problem. Listen, I like Nunes. I do. But it's, I don't know, Phil, what you think. At times it's almost, it's a problem. I think it's a problem. I mean, he does all the right things, gets into the right positions, and it hurts. Fulham and a few people mentioned in the chat. It really drew me down because that was a template game. You get out, you get it right both ends. It really drew me down to the point where you're going, it's predictable. A mistake or two at one end, then wayward finishing at the other. I mean, come on, be professional about it.
Okay, so I'm a lot more. I'm still on the doubting side when it comes to Nunes. I think he has tremendous assets. I think he's great to watch. I don't know if he's ever going to be the quality that matches up with those flashes of brilliance that you have on a consistent basis. And that's absolutely fine. And I think, Gav, it could be easy to be on either side of this fence. Do you know what I mean? I'm a prove it man. I'm a big fan of Gakpo. And the reason why I'm a big fan of Gakpo is he's the type of player that never seems to be doing much, but's always doing something, right? And it's like you'd wish you could put that clinicality into Nunes's boots that Gakpo has, because he's do you know what it is? It's the lack of calmness in Nunes that makes me think that he can't get there.
I said this last night. He needs a couple of striker's goals that he taps in at the far post. That's what he needs. He needs a couple of 6-yard tap-ins. Or balls flashed across the box and he just converts them. That's what he needs.
For me, though, it's not about even that. It's about the consistency. He's the type that could do that and then would score 4 goals for you, right, over the next 3 games. And then he'd kick a pigeon instead of kicking the ball, right? And he wouldn't score again for the next 15 games. And this is not a slight on him. Just for me, it's that inconsistency. But
Distance,
what I
yeah,
think, what benefits him greatly is particularly because we've seen this with other strikers and fans haven't been patient with them. I think the patience is there because he's such a rogue, right? Because he has that.
I think the hard work, I
He,
think, is
he's an
yeah,
athlete. I mean, he's like an
he's
Olympic
working
athlete.
really hard, Phil. Like, it's not
it's
like
it,
he's
no, no,
standing around the box and it's not happening for him.
no, Gav. That's what I'm saying. If he didn't have the work rate that he had, and we've seen strikers with lots of hard work rate that didn't happen for them, and we weren't as patient. We have the patience with him because he has the flashes that makes you think he is going to be brilliant, right? But as and to take it to my other true passion, which is American football, I've seen players flash loads of times, but the consistency doesn't always come true. I hope it does. I genuinely hope it does. I want to see him succeed. I think it would be phenomenal if he does succeed with that level of consistency that bangs you. Because if he achieves the consistency that he could, and I'm talking about maybe a 20 to 30% increase in consistency in terms of scoring, right? He's going to be putting in 25, 30 goals a season. Like there's such small margins between him being looked at as being a phenomenal striker like Haaland.
He may end up, sorry, with that chance to nail his colours to the mast really when it comes into the new year and the AFCON comes in, and I think Salah potentially misses 2 or 3 league games. Now, you know, I've seen people list what those games are, and I think a few of them are quite big.
Yeah,
and possibly the FA Cup game with Arsenal. But I think
that's
Salah
not big.
has at times played an FA Cup and then went off with Egypt for AFCON. But listen, league games are more important. They always are. But look, I suppose I am an optimist when it comes to Liverpool, and if City were the City of last year, I'd be saying to myself, nah, listen, we've done an awful lot to progress here. We've had a summer where we've had to react on some levels to what's gone on. I think we've reacted really well. I think the players that have come in have been really good, but it takes a little bit more to get to where you want to be, i.e. a title challenge. But when I look around us, I'm not seeing right now the City of last year. I'm not seeing an Arsenal that may have learned but are not really kicking on. You know, now they've only dropped 9 points this season, Arsenal, right? We've dropped 11, City have now dropped 12, right? And Arsenal's start to this season, I would say, is fairly similar to last's, but it's still not getting them to pull away from people. Do you get me? So that's why I'm optimistic on it. I won't give up on it. But I think probably to finish it off, I think you're bang on. When you come out on the 1st of January and you see where you are, it's a really good parameter as to where you're going to end up, because it shows, and you need a bit of luck, suspensions, injuries, and if the ref fucking has his eyes open for all the game and stuff like that. But I think it's a really good parameter. But right now, I think it is a real title race. I think it is really tight, and I think Liverpool are in it, despite their faults, as much as anybody else, because I think the amount of faults in teams has grown at the top end, rather than teams reducing those faults. And that's where I am with it.
I actually think the league is incredibly shite. From about 8 down, it's awful. It's absolute melodrama, right? And I think you've got a group of 3 teams at the moment who are playing probably at a different level with a different mentality to the rest. You've got another 3 teams that have the ability to challenge for that top 4 spot. Then you have some sleeping dinosaurs who are lost at this moment in time in terms of what's going on. And after that, then it's how those 3 teams at the top can maximize their point haul on the teams from 7th down, basically, right? If we could maximize our ability to win away from home against shy teams, we will be in a title race. If we don't, and that doesn't matter, and that's regardless of
And this
the
week will
games
show it.
against Arsenal.
Sheffield United away, Palace away. You need to go and take 6 points.
Yep.
Take 6 points.
Who takes out the trash? Whoever takes out the trash best, you get what you deserve. I agree with Phil.
In my head, it's get to March. If you're on 60 points at the start of March, you've got a shot. Genuinely, and that's what it's 40 points from here to the start of March. Get your 61 at that stage, and you've got a shot at the league. You're not thinking about top 4 and stuff like that because you're going to be
We
there
win.
thereabouts.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 10 past 11. I've got loads of topics. I never even got to my topic because Pete annoyed me so much in the first one.
Go on,
I'll
throw
just
them out. Throw them at us, and we'll have a quick yap about it.
no, because I'm going to keep 2 of them, Gav, because I think they're worth having
No,
because
we don't want to.
No, fuck off.
they
Them.
aren't international. They aren't international football ones, and it'll save me having to think of them next week.
Yeah, true.
Because I can just keep them in terms of what's there. But the one I want to cover before we go is it's one that's been in my head and it's really stood out because as a man of fashion, right, it's been noticeable that Trent has suddenly been able to score goals again because since he switched to what looks like the best pair of football boots produced by any football maker in the last 25
I'm
years.
totally
right?
bemused by all this. Go on.
They're only €300.
Whether it's €300 or not, as a man who was addicted to Predator Mania back in the time when they came out, and that's how old I am, and that's when I was back playing. Seeing this style of boot back again is not only nostalgic, it's immense, and it also proves that the Predators are real once they're made as proper Predators, not like those things that they be making for donkeys, right? But is there nothing more magical than seeing the white foot strike? It took me back to Del Piero. It took me back to Beckham, and he's striking the ball at like a peak Beckham is, right? It's like look at those free kicks. So I want to put the topic. I want to put it to use that if anything, Trent should not be allowed to wear another type of boot for the rest of his career at Liverpool Football
Yeah, that's
Club.
it. It's done deal.
Yeah, but hold on a minute, right? Now,
It's the boots, Gav.
yeah, I know
That's
it's the boots, and like I've seen like endless amount of middle-aged men going, "Oh, the boots, lads." You know what I mean? Like I think they're gonna buy them and just run out on the field across the road just to say they have them. Right? It's a mad scene, right? But if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. Like honestly, like and then people like are thinking like. You'd swear Trent was Christy fucking Brown before he put these Predators on, right? The way people are carrying on, right? You'd swear he was fucking boxy, right? And you're there going, here, do you know what, Trent? You are bleeding deadly in my left foot. But here's a pair of Predators. Put them on you. And he's up. Do you know what he's like? He's like fucking, do you know what it's like? It's like, do you remember in what was it? The Willy Wonka, where the granddad's in the bed. And then he's in bits, right? This is what Trent's like. He's in bits, right? And then they go, I'm about to get tickets to go. And the granddad jumps out of the bed and he's fucking, he's like Michael Flatley, right? Because that's what Trent's like. Like people think Trent just couldn't kick snow out of a rope until they gave him a pair of Predators. They couldn't stick him free kicks and passes all over the planet. And then they go, it's definitely the Preds, lads. It's definitely the Preds, right? And there's fellas there now. There's fellas there now, 40s, 50s, I'd even argue, right? And going, do you know what? I think I'll actually just buy a pair and I'll just wear them down the field with me young fella. Like that, they're knocking for their grandkids and all now. They don't even like their grandkids, but they're knocking for them now to go, here, do you fancy a game of ball? Because your nanny bought me a new pair of Predators. It's absolutely off the
Ping the ball. Just down the football pitch now, pinging those passes across the empty pitch.
Well, it does go to show you that everyone does get taken in. Like everyone gets taken in. Don't get me wrong, beautiful boots. It's more aesthetic. I always thought with Predators, they're beautiful to look at.
Madge Apple says 26 million. He'd be wearing those for the rest of his life. Is that the contract he's got?
Yeah.
Do you know what? But
in fairness,
he should be paying
worth every
26
penny
million
because everyone in the world wants a pair of these white Predators now.
Yeah.
It's like last year. Last year, right? You couldn't get a bottle of Prime for love nor money, right? They were going for 50 quid each. Right, and now you get out to Lidl now next week to be queued outside for Trent's Predators, and we only got 8 pairs there. The rest will be just Kimberley biscuits, but 8 pairs of Predators in Lidl next week. You could remember they were battering each other last year for pallets of Prime. It was fucking mad. Yeah. There was people on Twitter going, "My son's at the piping up there, and he says he wants a bottle of Prime off Santi. Does anyone know where I can get a bottle? Will you? Fuck off! It's a bottle of white lemonade, a spa. Just fucking." Find an empty bottle of Prime, pour out Lucozade into it and give it to him. He hasn't got a clue what it tastes like.
He hasn't a clue. You can put anything into it, right? You can.
Look, Emma Kavanagh there says, Gav's having a clout dig at me for my new pitch marking Predators. Like, this prick Emma, right? He's going to actually go out and buy these Predators and mark pitches with it. He's going to sit on a fucking tractor and cut grass and go, look at me Preds. He's going to start taking pictures onto the Instagram and all. Emma, and not following on from his forklift loyals from last week. Now he's fucking marking pitches with a pair of his Predators on. I just think it's great.
All I want to say is that the fact that he has to wear, don't change the design. There's a few things. You see the new Liverpool Nike jersey design for next year, which is the same as the one we won when we won the league, right? Like seriously, some things you don't need to change. This idea that you have to keep changing and making things different, it doesn't. You can make things better, but you don't have to visually make them look different. Think of the Volkswagen Beetle, right? It's brilliant. Knocked around for the best part of 40 years.
Adidas World Cup, Adidas Copa Mundial football boots. They've never
Copa
changed.
Mundials, World Cups, Puma Kings, and Adidas Predator Manias. Keep making them, because as long as you make them, there's going to be a market for them because they're so good. You just don't do it,
100%.
right? For like,
Are
to be
Puma
fair,
Kings still going? Like, is Puma
Yeah,
Kings
yeah.
still going? They were whopper.
Damo's still wearing Puma Kings around the house. He is, right? 'Cause-
No, still wearing Puma Kings around the gap. But it's like, but you know what? Do you know what I find then? I'm finding like football boot snobbery then. You know, people going, oh, maybe a man, he wore Theodore. If he had worn those Preds, he would have fucking won the Ballon d'Or. Like,
Ridiculous.
John Barnes wore Theodore.
Yeah,
was
he was the
lethal with
first one to get
You know
a
what I
big
mean?
day.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a snobbery going on now.
I'll give you a better one.
But listen,
Jan
I listen,
Mulvey.
when I get down, when I get down to
foreign
fingers
boots
now,
that weren't Gola, right? The first pair of foreign boots that weren't Gola, pair of Patrick, because Jan Mulvey used to wear them, right?
Correct.
You remember that piece?
So did the Loudrups, didn't they?
They were Danish.
The Loudrups did as well. But do you know what
Yeah.
I'm expecting now, right? This is how far it's gone now. When I get down to Finglas on Christmas morning, I usually pull off the motorway into Finglas and there's scramble our bikes and bleeding quads everywhere, right? There's kids fucking going everywhere on them, right? I fully expect no quads at Christmas. It's just going to be a load of middle-aged helpless standing by the shops up at the top church there with their Preds on,
boots
talking
on,
to each other.
with the boots
That's
on.
all I expect now this Christmas. And if I don't see it, I'm going to be upset.
Going to mass.
Yeah. It's up to Mass with that new jeans and that Predators on. It'll sound like an army walking up the bleeding oil to get fucking Mass with the studs clunking. Honest to God. Lads just
Body of
fix their
Christ.
tongues on their boots before they go up them. Yeah.
Body of Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
And when the
Right,
collection
okay.
box comes around, be like, "But you fuck off, you're not getting on. These are 300 quid. I haven't a bleeding shilling left after buying them."
Do you take card?
Oh, stop. It's a fucking...
Sending around the old sum up the
But
terminal.
Trent's going to make
Tap.
making a fortune out of it, and
Of course
Adidas
he
are
is.
going to make a
And
fortune
no,
out of
but
it.
see that young fella, every penny he earns, he deserves. Fair play. Do you know what? Because every week, he just, he just gets absolutely slandered up there. The young fella just keeps getting on. I love the attitude of him. I think he's great. If we had 11 like him, I'd be like 11 pairs of Predator.
Chris Black says the priest just stood there in his Predator boots.
volleying the body of Christ down the back end of the church on a swear
Yeah,
after
yeah. And the altar boys come out, and all you hear is the fucking click clock going across the top of the altar.
You hear that
The
anyway,
two
because
boys
they're
in
off
that
to
Pred.
play a match afterwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're not allowed to have, I don't think you're allowed to have
But anyway,
altar boys
look,
anymore.
I'm only
Given what's
messing. Look,
happened in
the
Ireland.
boots are whopper. Trent was shy until he got them, and now he has them, and he's just a bit.
So he has the, he can defend, he can play, he can play midfield. He's also playing as a striker, scoring goals left, right, and centre, right? And he looks like he can bend better than Beckham ever
It's
did,
like
right?
bleeding Roy the Rovers. It's like you just
Billy's
Spectrum
boots.
Powers now.
No, you've got it
Billy's
wrong.
boots.
It's Billy's boots. It was in Roy the Rovers.
Billy's
but it was
boots,
Billy's
correct?
boots.
Yeah, Billy's boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. It's absolutely fantastic.
He got a
yeah.
pair of David Beckham's Predators from 2007, right? And it has his power in it. That's exactly what's happened. They're not
Yeah.
new boots at all. They're David
It's,
Beckham's boots.
I agree.
It's fantastic stuff, but it's the best marketing thing ever. I've never seen a reaction to a fella wearing a pair of boots in all my life. Honestly,
No.
you know what I mean?
Best
like
ever.
it's just he just literally stuck these boots on one day, said nothing, brought out an ad then on the Monday, and everyone's like, "This is the best thing ever."
Yeah.
But
Best thing ever.
yeah,
Right,
so there
listen,
we
come
are.
here to me. I'm going to keep me a
Go
couple of real topics until next week, right? In terms
You
of what we
nearly
have.
said it. You nearly said, "Come here to me. I'll see it. I'll talk to you later." Did you? we always do that, don't we? Come here to me. Go on, I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on and talk to you later on. Right, so that's been the show. That's been the Talkin Kop of a Monday night. I hope you've enjoyed our talking shite around Creeving Keller not being good enough. Is it a real title race or not? And of course, the most important part of the chat is the fact that Trent Alexander-Arnold is wearing a pair of David Beckham's boots, and that's why he can bend it better than he ever did before, and he scored loads of goals, and he got 26 million for it. It's the best ever, right? And long may it continue. In fact, he should go out and see if he can get a pair for Nunes. Bang. Not a problem. But Nunes will be able to corner from all types of
I'd
angles.
say
into the
Owen
back of
Kieran
the-
Knightley's fuming. She hasn't got in on this. That's all I'm going to say. I'd say she's fucking fuming.
Lads on the orthopedic ward after their knee replacements wearing shiny new Predators, dreaming of what will be. That's the sports surgery clinic on January the 2nd in Dublin. There's a queue coming out the door, lads. We're not
Everyone's
taking
gonna
the
have them.
Predators off.
I'm telling you, there'll be fellas down there, right, and they'd put up the nets. They put up the nets for that team, and they'd be down there. You know, they'd put the nets, and they just watch the match, then take the corner flags and the nets and put them back in the lockup, and they'll be wearing them. Don't kick a ball. They'll just be wearing them.
Okay, just to close it out tonight, and thanks for all the comments, and things been great. But there's Darren. It's like Christy Brown turned into Michael Flatley.
Yes, that's what he said. That's what it is. Honestly, fucking unbelievable. It's amazing.
It's immense. Right, that's been the show. That's been Gav. That's been Pete. That's been myself, Phil. We've got loads of show coming up during the week. Stay
Loads.
tuned. Keep going in. And also do the subscribing thing and do the thing
member
with
thing.
the free with the stuff. The member thing. Be a member. Be a member. Show us your member. Be a member. Show us that you are a member. The whole lot. Don't ever forget and always remember to be a member. So that's the most important thing.
Anyone that's a member on January the 1st, I'm going to give them
Pair of boots.
I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna get, you know the special like icon you can have beside your name. You are getting the Predators on it. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, Gav, do you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go on to Temu and buy 10,000 pairs of Redditors, right?
Redditors, yeah, for about £8, and then we're just gonna buy a load of. Do you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go into Woody's then. You know the stick-on letters you can get for your wheelie bin. We're gonna get really small ones for the P. And we're just going to sit there all Christmas just putting them on. And then we'll be up in the markets. We'll be up in Fairley House Market on the second week of Jan. Pair of P Redditors for just €30. I might bring on my DVDs with me as well. Get rid of them. Kill two birds with one stone.
Sold out on the first night.
Do you know there's nowhere you can sell DVDs anymore? It's mad. Anyway.
Oh God!
I've so much to say. I'll keep it tomorrow morning.
The show.
Tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m. All this, I have loads to say about loads.
10 a.m. Can't wait to hear about the Predators tomorrow. Just do a week of Predators. That's all we need to talk about.
He was shy at Dilly Bob.
Yeah, he was.
Had you come on wearing a pair of Predators, you could have said anything you wanted.
Your points would have been salient. Hang on. Now what are you saying, Phil?
Oh, perfect.
Now what are you saying?
Wow. Wearing espadrille slippers. Get out.
Slippers. Come on. We're out of here.
Right, we're gone. Good night. God bless. See you all next week.